Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Thanks for coming to our channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 things beginners don't think about before they build a deck. So if you like this video, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is flow. And you have to have a really good flow when you're thinking about the design of your deck. If you just build a square, sometimes it may not be conducive to what your actions are that you're going to be using that deck for. So as an example, the deck that we're tearing down, the old builder, he had some great ideas and some that I don't think are not so good. So, but one that is good is there's a kitchen door behind me over here. And then there's a driveway that I'm standing on right here, and you want to have access to go from your kitchen door out to your driveway. So what do you need when you're doing that? Well, you got to have some stairs. So this particular job, there's a small little barbecue deck right here, and then there's a set of stairs that come down right here, and it gives you great access to the driveway. So we're gonna replicate that. We're gonna do a little bit less of a rise and a little bit deeper run so that the stairs rake out a little bit, so they don't feel so steep and short, and they're a little bit more luxurious as you walk down them. So something that you really want to think about is like, where am I putting the patio furniture? Is that going to be in the way of the staircase? Where am I going to be barbecuing at? Is that going to be hard to get to, or is there a nice path to that from the kitchen? That kind of thing. So flow is definitely an important factor when you're building a deck. Oh yeah, we got trains, planes, trains, and no automobiles back here. But so here's an example of an area that we are going to change. We're still doing a pit set tilt back bench, but because I have the ability to curve decking, everything is now going to become a curve instead of a U-shaped square. And we're going to blend all these different angles and curves into a really unique feature with a curve or a round fire pit going in right here. And then the stairs are all going to match the flow that we already talked about of the steps, and then the steps are going to flow into the bench, and then it's going to be a little bit more conducive to the pathway that they need to take to get to the different levels and the way that she wants to enjoy this space. So instead of having to turn over here to talk to somebody and to turn over here to talk to somebody, it's going to be more of a curve, so I can just kind of like swivel my head instead of turning my whole body to enjoy the conversation. So this is going to be a really unique space. It's going to be the focal point of this deck. It's going to be where everybody's going to congregate and enjoy one another. And we're actually, instead of having a straight wall here, we're going to do a reverse curve on this deck to match the radius of the outside of the curve of the deck over here. It's a really unique design, and I think it's gonna flow really nicely, and I think that the client's gonna absolutely love it. All right, so another thing that you may wanna think about is your accessory locations. Where's the furniture gonna go? Where's the barbecue gonna go? Where are the other items, lounge chairs, things like that, and where the kids gonna play on the deck, that kind of thing. Make sure that you have enough space on the deck to accommodate all those features that you want or that you may want in the future, and just think about them a little bit while you're designing that deck to keep your pathways clear, so when you're carrying that plate of fillets over the barbecue, you're not tripping over the chair that might be in your way while you don't see it, you know, and then that could get ugly. You don't want to lose your nice fat steaks that you're about to cook on that awesome barbecue that's located in the proper place. So this is a really nice space. It has a beautiful view, and it has just enough room for a nice table and chair. I'd probably go, instead of a round table, I might do a rectangular one right here. They also had a space for an umbrella mount, which we're gonna replicate those so they can remount their umbrella spaces and then come up, and even on a windy day, these are heavy duty mounts, so the umbrellas can stay, they won't blow away, and have a nice shaded area, because we also have western exposure here, so the sun comes in and cooks you pretty hot and heavy. So having a little bit of shade and this nice dining area right here is a really awesome spot for that. So another thing beginners may not think about are contingencies. It's always good to budget a little bit more just in case something pops up during your construction build. We can't control, as a contractor, we cannot control if we open up the deck and there's a bunch of dry rot on the side of the house. I cannot see that when I come for your initial consultation, and I cannot tell if the house is in good condition or not all the time. So sometimes when we pull the fascia and the ledger boards and all that stuff off the deck, there may be some dry rot that has to be taken care of. We've gone to the point where actually there was so much water leakage in a house once, we had to rip out the bottom wall, the sheetrock, everything to rebuild the wall because it was so rotten. So that's a contingency where you may have to spend additional funds. You may not though. I really try to stick to my estimate, which turns into an invoice, and then I try to keep that all the way through the build. But occasionally there's times where you might have to spend a little more to repair something on your home that wasn't originally the fault of the new contractor. So something else you may think about is, are you going to expand on this deck in the future? Maybe you're going to add a hot tub or a patio cover or something of that nature. So you might want to consider what you're going to be doing with it in the future. So don't forget to design in. I have this additional yard space over here. Maybe I want to add another deck in the future, or possible patio or something like that. It could be hardscaping or something. You just want to kind of, again, think about how you're going to terminate the deck and what might be going up there in the future. Here's another one, guys, that is really important to think about is, what type of environment do you live in? What are the seasons that you have? Are you a 4th season? Do you only live in the sun? Are you a winter heavy location? So for those reasons, you might want a patio cover or a place for shade or something like that. So consider all the 4 seasons. Are you being exposed to more sun, more rain, or potentially more snow? And build accordingly to those environments, because if you build your deck and there's no cover and you're sitting out here and it's 110 degrees outside, it's gonna be really hot. So it's just something to think about, like maybe we wanna add additional cover, shade, or protection from the weather, a wind wall, or something like that if you live in possible windy area as well. One last thing I wanna leave you with is, think about maintenance of your deck, not just what materials you're gonna select for low maintenance or easy maintenance, and knowing that a real wood deck is gonna take more maintenance than, say, a PVC deck will. But you also want to think about the maintenance of how the deck is built. If you're going to chop it up, if there's a lot of levels and little nooks and crannies and corners, are you going to be constantly cleaning things out of the way there? When you go to clean your deck, which I recommend at least once a year, how easy is it to do that? Maintenance of the railings. If you have a wood railing, it's going to take more maintenance because you have to clean it and you have to protect it with some kind of a sealant, versus a metal rail, which you just clean once a year, piece of cake. So think about those things as well. All right, so for an example, the deck we're building right now, it's been treated, it's been painted, but it's getting old. Sometimes age is your enemy. You can see right here, there's portions of the deck that are just rotting away. Over here, the dry rot has just gotten to the point where the deck board is just decomposing. It's falling apart. You could probably step through part of this if I really tried to, but you can see that the decking's really soft, and that's just something where when those type of things happen, it's just time to replace the deck. And it's not like, oh, well, let's just replace the deck boards on top. That's already been done on this deck. So we're beyond just replacing deck boards. We got to replace all the framing as well. The only thing we're keeping on this particular deck are the piles for the posts, because they are telephone pole sized and treated like telephone poles. The whole entire house is on piles, and so is the deck. So that's just something that we're gonna keep and maintain, because they're driven into the ground, I don't know how many feet, and then they stick up, and then we're gonna build on top of those. But everything else on this project is going away. We're starting fresh and using a new frame. So one other thing you may wanna think about is, where is your power located? Where are your water spigots located? Sometimes you have to create access panels. Are you building over a septic lid or a septic tank? I've often checked with local septic companies to see what's required for when they need to pump those out. I have built over complete septic tanks before, even though some companies don't recommend it. If you ever have to replace that tank, you're gonna have to rip out the deck. But most often when that happens, the client wants that space as a deck and they're willing to cover the septic. No worries. So what we do is we create a panel. So as you can see here, if there is a water spigot, this one's plenty high above the deck, so we don't have to worry about it. And there's also power over here, which is again 12 inches above the deck level, which is great. But I've run into so many instances where there's water, venting, a stove, dryer vents, all kinds of different types of vents. You need to consider how are you going to run that path? How are you going to gain access to that for clean out? On my personal deck, I have a couple panels that I take out to clean the dryer vent because there's no other way to do it. If I just covered it up, it would be detrimental. So you got to make sure that you leave access for all that stuff that might be under the deck. Either have the water raised, or I've created the access panels, which look really nice. You pull the panel out, you hook up your hose, you do your thing. I make it so you can put the panel back in and leave the hose hooked up, or you can disconnect it. So just something else you need to think about when you're building that deck. So here's another example. Let's just say you have a hot tub that you're putting into the deck. It's not sitting on top of the deck, it's going into the deck. So you would have to have a way to get into the panel for electrical hookups, for draining the hot tub, and any other repair or service needs for the hot tub in the future. So to do that, you're gonna have to create a panel that's removable so that you can get to it. So just something else to think about while you're designing your deck. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today, but I hope that helps some of the beginners out there that are just thinking about maybe building their own deck or having one designed or bringing somebody, a professional in. Just a little list for you to write down and have those questions for that professional that may come in and help you with it. Or if you're gonna do it on your own, best of luck. We wish you luck for that. And thanks for watching this video, guys. Don't forget, please hit that subscribe button and that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. And if you're interested, we have official Dr. Decks t-shirts for sale. Click the link below. They're super cheap and super comfortable. We hope you will purchase at least 20 or 30 of those for you and your family and all your friends and anybody else that you want to give one to. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.